Hello, everyone. This is Jodie from Taking Perspective. Thank you for all those who have joined me live here for this webinar on the importance of routines and some tips on how to put them in place. For all those who registered, you will receive a copy of this in your email box for those who were unable to attend the Zoom. So, what's up for discussion this evening? So, we're talking about the importance of routines with our teenagers and our children, and we're going to just go through a few tips on how to help with those morning and evening routines and also family routines. So, what's up for discussion? Why is a healthy routine important for teenagers? Some tips on getting teenagers to accept routines and keeping some family routines also. So firstly, we're going to look at why is a healthy routine important for teenagers. So if we think about teenagers themselves and their developmental process, teenage brains experience massive growth periods, especially during adolescence. And this can sometimes make it pretty hard for you and your teenager to navigate and really grapple through those hormonal changes that they go through. Their bodies are changing, they're having rapid growth in their brain, and there's many other transitions that they go through and experience in this process. So it can be pretty hard on them, which also means it can be pretty hard on us because the teenagers find it really hard to express what they're going through because they don't necessarily know or understand the biological changes that are happening to them. So why is a healthy routine important to teenagers? A healthy routine is important for teenagers because it's really about helping them navigate this complicated time. It's about giving them some tools to be able to get through every day. So it's about bringing structure, predictability into their world, and it's about helping them prevent excess stress that can be associated with things like sudden change. So routines give our students, our children, pretty much a roadmap to the important moments that they need to go through throughout their day, and allows them to really internalize that ownership of their choices and move from different learning experiences. So even so they show up to math class and they have a relief teacher that can really throw some students. So it's really about helping them understand and express themselves also in a more confident manner. So this internalization that they sort of go through, I think it's really good to understand that it's a way that routines help them scaffold these parts of their learning experiences and puts them in place. It helps with engagement and all those sorts of things that go with routines. So here are 8 reasons for routines that's important for your child that I sort of came up with when I was putting this together. What we've got is it helps your child get into a schedule. It can bond the family together. Because there's less nagging, there's less arguing, there's less parents repeating themselves. So it also establishes expectations. Your teenagers know what to expect from you. They know what's expected of them and when. So that's a really good part of it, establishing expectations. It creates a calmer household. As I said, there's less nagging, there's less constant telling of our teenagers to do things. It gives the child confidence and independence because there's that autonomy with being able to make those decisions and those choices around, okay, I've got to do this now, I've got to do that now, instead of the parent always being in the background saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. So it really gives them that little bit of control and autonomy over the situation. It establishes some healthy and constructive habits, which is always a good thing. And it helps us as the parents remember the important things too. I think it gives us a time to just be more calm and just be more relaxed as parents. And I think that's important. So routines are things that govern our lives. As you know, as adults, it's from brewing that first cup of morning coffee, deciding which way we're going to travel to work. If there's we look on Google Maps or something and there's a traffic jam, it's brushing our teeth before going to bed. And why are these things so important? Why are these routines that we engage in so important? So 80% of our actions take place automatically without us even thinking about them. So we're in automation mode. Our brains strive to turn everything into a routine because the brain feels that thinking is far too time consuming for it. It wants it quick, it wants it snappy, it wants it just to happen. So routines help our brain conserve energy and minimize risk because they know what's going to happen and how to do it. So from a neurobiological perspective, this is also something that's essential for survival for us. It's that automation of if your brain believes something's going to have adverse effect on you, for example, when we're developing a bad habit, when we're doing something bad. So it's really about the brain being able to kick into play that automation and a good understanding of what is good for us and what is not. So which part of the brain actually controls these habits, these routines that we get into? Because once we establish routines, everything is automated in that process. So it does become a habit. I just like getting up and, you might get up every morning, put your slippers on and make your bed, and then think back to yourself, oh, did I actually make my bed? Because it becomes just such an automated thing in your habitual morning routine. So when we first learn something for the first time, it is controlled by our cerebral cortex, which is the grey part of the brain. It's the front part of the brain that we find here. And once it's repeated this action multiple times, so once we create this new neurological pathway and we repeat this and we keep repeating it, it then becomes a routine. So once it becomes this routine, all this relevant information of this repeated process then slips into what is called our basal ganglia, which is something that's deep inside our brain. And once it's here, it's what's classed as a fixed process that can no longer be deleted. It can be changed, and eventually it fades away. If you create a bad habit, you can change bad habits. So it is something that fades, and if you stop using it, it will fade and potentially, then just sort of seep into the background. But just, habits, we all do things that we don't necessarily like to. We try to kick certain habits, but we find that as soon as something triggers them, by the click of a finger, the habit's back. That's because that neurological pathway is always going to be down there somewhere. But that doesn't mean you can't change and create new pathways and new habits. So moving on to, I'll just move myself out of the way. Tips for getting your teenagers to accept a routine. So I think it's really important that as parents, we actually work with our teenagers. We engage with them as to what this routine planning may look like and what this process will feel like. So it's really about creating some ownership around the plan. We have a chat about why you think you're having a routine in place and how it will help the family, and ask them how they actually feel about it. So that's sort of, that high idea of creating that routine. We really need to engage with our students, with our kids, in being a part of the process and having that autonomy around that. So getting your teenager into a routine. Design a routine together, arrange a time to sit down and be together and discuss things. Talk about the goals, the point of the routine, and how it's going to help your child achieve something, such as getting somewhere on time or getting better at a skill or sport. Maybe it's about grades. So it's really about making sure they understand what the routine is going to give them and how they're going to achieve it. The next ones we've got, be prepared to compromise. That's something that us as parents really need to understand. We may see things differently to what our teenagers see them. So it's really about making sure that we have that understanding of, being able to compromise. It's a give and take. It is their routine after all. So let them have a little bit of say. Harness your teenagers' motivation. So that's really about making sure that they're keen for this and they're happy to do this. I have got a webinar on motivation, so if you're interested in that, just flick me a message and I can flick that to you. And track the process and review the regular routine. So here we've got some tips on how to master the morning routine. So tip 1 is about preparation on mastering that morning routine. So what we want you to do is we want you to, one idea is getting your teenagers to be prepared. So get their uniforms ready for the next day, get their school bags ready, get them packed, get them ready to go, organize the breakfast bench or table the night before. And I think it's really important that as a family, you do that as a family. So it's about the family creating an evening routine to help the morning routine be so much easier, so that, everyone's not running around and being a little bit crazy trying to walk out the door first thing in the morning, because everyone's got something to do, everyone's got somewhere to be. So another thing you consider doing, especially with kids that some kids may need this a little bit more than other kids, depending on where they're at developmentally. So this could be something that could help you, even especially the young ones. It's really about making a checklist, getting dressed, eating breakfast, brushing teeth. That's, this mundane checklist of all the chores that they need to do in their morning routine. Grab their lunch, put it in their backpack, jump in the car or run out to the bus, whatever it may actually be. It's making sure that some kids need that visual of having it actually in front of them, and they can go, yep, done that, done that, done that, where others are quite happy to just have that list in their brain and work through it themselves. So the next tip for the morning routine is, in an ideal world, always get up before your kids. So it's a really good idea to make sure that you're showered as a parent and dressed and ready to go yourself prior to your kids getting up. And this will also help you create what I class as a little bit of me time. So in this me time, it's about you organising your own morning routine that also includes something a little for yourself before you have to step into that modern world of craziness that can be out there. If you're driving and you're always driving in traffic, it's really good to make sure that you have that moment to yourself. So whether you choose to do yoga or a little bit of meditation, maybe you write in your journal, maybe you're just listening to your favorite podcast, whatever it is that you do, give yourself that extra 15 minutes in the mornings just to have that space for yourself, because you'll find that really helps reset you for the day. So now we're moving on to some methods to master the afternoon routine. And again, it's just about preparation. Often kids, when they finish school, they're tired and they're hungry. So it's good to have healthy snacks that are ready to go. So if you're a parent that picks them up, maybe you'll have them ready to go in the car, or they'll be ready in the fridge when they get home, something that they can grab quickly and easily. I was always a big fan of being able to walk home with my kids. So walking home from school, it's a great time to decompress, and you can talk about, what they did that day, and, share a laugh and all those sorts of things on the way home from school. And tip 2, create the after school checklist, which is the same as tip 2 for the morning checklist. It's just in the reverse. I think it's really important that when it comes to the afternoon, that we allow our kids to have some downtime and some decompression time. They need to be able to just sit back and just be with themselves just a little bit. Their thing might be playing with the dog in the backyard, just whatever it is for them. Give them that, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is that helps them just decompress, just like you do your potential decompression in the morning as a parent. They may need to do that of an evening after school. It's not about bringing them home and going, do this, do that, do homework, blah, blah, blah. It's really about making sure that they have that space also. And obviously that becomes hard when there's lots of kids and we've got kids at sport and some are home, and so you really have to make sure you fit it into your household routine. So tip 3, homework time. I think this is really important. It's really important to make it a set time. Make sure you have a set place for them to do it. I would suggest not their bedrooms. Their bedrooms have a lot of distractions, and often their bedrooms aren't actually in a convenient place for you to keep an eye on them and help them if you need to. I think setting up at their kitchen bench or the dining table, obviously if there's other distractions around, that might be a little bit tricky, but just somewhere, if you're organizing the evening meal, that you can have quick access to them if they need help with their homework, and make it a regular time and a regular place so they know, all right, 6:30 or 5:30, whatever it is for your household, this is homework time, this is where I go to do it, and give them plenty of space to spread their books out and whatever they need. Make sure they've got plenty of space, make sure it's light, make sure it's airy and warming sort of thing. Some kids work well with distractions in the background and some kids don't. They prefer real quiet time. So it's making sure that we're working within what that particular child needs, or the children that are doing homework together. So the next one we have here is keeping family routines also. And this is important and why they work. Daily routines for a family is really about a household being able to run smoothly. It helps families enjoy more time together because there's less, I suppose, nitpicking or nagging or getting people to do things, because everyone just knows what's expected of them. Everyone knows potentially what they need to be doing when they need to be doing it. So routines also help children feel safe, and it helps them build healthy habits. And even for us as adults, a morning routine and evening routine is really good to establish. So routines also help parents feel organized. That reduces stress, and which also helps for more fun activities for the whole household. So good routines are well planned, regular and predictable. And as much as our children will say that they don't like it, they actually do like predictability, because they just keeps them within parameters of where they need to be. So some final thoughts. Good routines help your teenager feel safe and grounded. It helps them plan their time more effectively. It helps them manage their school, their friends, if they work. Some older teenagers may have jobs. It may just to do with sport and study. And some may need morning routines more than others. And I did mention that before. So in general, having an organized and predictable routine can have many benefits. As I said, some of our students, they need a list in front of them that they can tick it off, because that's how their brain works. And others are able to have that list for themselves. All right. So again, thank you for those who joined me live and those who will receive this in an email. You can catch me on all the socials. So again, thanks for joining me, and I will now stop the recording if I can find the button.